So 7 p.m. we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River, Manitoba, this 13th day of May 2025 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, myself, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Brian Burick, Byron Zbirun, Brad Kushniryk, RJ McGregor, and Carrie Blosha. Councillor Neely is absent tonight. Our CIO, Kristi, Ronnquist is here. Our videographer, Jeremy Bergen, is here, and we have several people joining us in the gallery in person and one person on the phone tonight. We'll start the meeting at 1.2, Notice of Absence. Be it resolved that the Notice of Absence submitted by Councilmember Neely regarding the regular meeting of Council held this 13th day of May 2025 shall be accepted as received. Is there a mover? Councillor Blosha, and I see Councillor Kushniryk as well. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Let's go to 3, adopting the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda for the regular council meeting held this 13th day of May 2025 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Lots of choices. I see Councillor Burick and I saw Councillor Zbirun there as well. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda anyone wishes to propose tonight? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Tonight we have a public hearing. We also have some other matters to deal with. The public hearing is scheduled for 7, so we're going to jump into that. So that's number 2 on our main agenda. Be it resolved, we adjourn the regular meeting of council to attend the public hearing for the 2025 financial plan at 7:02 p.m. Is there someone that wishes to move the resolution? Councillor Kushniryk, and I see Councillor Burick there as well. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. In a moment, we'll get to the public hearing. So we'll call to order the public hearing regarding the 2025 financial plan for the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River, Manitoba, this 13th day of May 2025 at 7 p.m. Present for the public hearing this evening, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Blosha, Kushniryk, Burick, Zbirun, McGregor. Absent with notice, Councillor Neely. Our CIO, Kristi Ronnquist, is in attendance. Our videographer, Jeremy Bergen, is here, and we do have several folks joining us in the gallery. Be resolved that Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby calls to order the public hearing regarding the 2025 financial plan for the Municipality of Swan Valley West, the 13th day of May 2025 at 7:03 p.m. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, and someone to second the resolution? Councillor McGregor. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. Copies of the financial plan are available at the door. They look like this. I presume everybody's grabbed one already that's interested in having one. We don't have a lot of presentation tonight because people, quite frankly, find it boring sometimes we read numbers for a big long time. So we'll certainly entertain comments and questions from everybody that's here. Overall, the RM is seeing a budget increase this year of around 5.5%, give or take. Assessment's up quite a bit as well. So 5.5 includes some of the assessment. The mill rate itself is only going up just a touch over 2%. So the mill rates proposed this year for the municipality for at large is 14.599. We have some additional mill rates. So education taxes have changed substantially. The mill rate for the education support levy is 7.117. The Swan Valley School Division mill rate for us is 12.763. There is an LUD mill rate of 5.342 that relates to the Benito area. A sewer line replacement charge that relates to the Benito area of 1.168. And the Burnside Bridge, which expires in 2029, so we're getting close, is 0.093 this year. So if it doesn't bother anyone too terribly much, we'll just take questions from people that are here that want to ask or make presentations, because that's probably the easiest way to make sure you get the parts you want to know about. Who wants to go first? Don't all go at the same time.
I mean, I can fire off first here.
Sure.
The substantial increase to protective services, that's mainly to do with the GIS funding.
That is almost all the GIS funding. We've budgeted for the full year again. Obviously, it's already May. So last year we did the same thing. We budgeted for half a year thinking it would start in July. It didn't. So we took that money and dumped it into gravel. We're likely to do a similar thing this year when GIS finally gets going. It could be as soon as next month. But whatever doesn't make sense there, obviously we won't be spending on GIS, we'll spend it on something else.
And I see a substantial increase to transportation. Is that?
So there's two parts to that. Last year, the gravel crushing for this year is normally completed in the prior fiscal year, but it wasn't. So the money from last year was put into the reserve. It's been pulled back out. So this year, the budget for gravel hauling, gravel crushing, and haul road maintenance exceeds $1 million for the first time ever. But a lot of that is last year's money that's paid for crushing that happened in February and March already. So it's really not that much of an increase. There's a small increase for this year compared to last year. It just looks really big because the money wasn't spent last year.
Last week you had approved a approximately $60,000 loan for the Benito Splash Park. Is that included in this budget somewhere, or is it not?
It is not.
Considered?
The loan is coming from accumulated surplus. So it wasn't put in here because we don't expect to actually capitalize that money as our expense because we expect to be getting it back. So we could have added it both sides. We didn't just because it was so fresh. If we had added it, we would have shown 60 of income and the offsetting expense just to be a flow through.
The addition of $5,000 to the, that's being charged to the LED for sidewalks, was that included was there any sidewalk budget last year?
So there was the same $5,000 last year. Primarily that's relating to the snow clearing on the sidewalks, but there's a little bit of space in there for some sidewalk repairs as well. But mostly it's about clearing the snow.
Okay, yeah. I did notice that there's some charge to both at-large and the LED for tourism. Any indication of how you arrived at those numbers?
So the LED arrived at the tourism number independently from us because it's their kind of own committee. We can get Mr. Kushniryk to speak to that a bit. The portion for us more relates to some advertising we do with Parkland Tourism in the guidebook for Swan Valley West promoting the area. And there's a little bit of flex money there. We've been trying this budget to always be over by a couple $100s instead of under by a couple $100. So at the end of the year, there's not a really unfortunate surprise. Because we'd rather, anything at the end of the year that's unspent ends up in reserve and we can then use it anyway. So we try to, if we know it's going to be $895, we'll budget 1,000 rather than 900, just so there's not a oops. Councillor Kushniryk, can you speak to the tourism part for the LED?
I assume the tourism is what we have under the economic development line?
No, it's
I
under
think
it.
it's separate.
It's a separate line.
What line are we on here?
You go to
Under
page 6.
development.
Page 6, like this one?
It's almost there.
One is 10.5, so that is your account.
It is the economic development then. So basically, it's just kind of a learning curve as we may need money here and there, maybe for some signage and stuff like that. But yeah, it would be classed more as economic than tourism. But could be used either or.
They did have that same thing in their budget last year for the LED. It went unspent, so it's also available for them this year.
Oh, yeah. I'm not seeing a specific line item for RISE. Are we funding RISE this year?
So there isn't a specific line item that says RISE, but you'll see a regional development line for $20,000 at large,
Oh, yeah.
which is, again, a bit of an approximation. RISE has not passed a budget for this year. Looking into the committee, they're meeting, I think, on the 22nd, 21st, somewhere there is the next RISE meeting. I would suspect that the appropriation for RISE would be lower this year. Last year's budget for RISE was $50,000 shared between the 4 municipalities. And it was primarily for the promotion book that's being made. but those funds weren't expended last year. And the other part of the budget, a lot of it was for trade shows, which we'll see how that goes, but last year it wasn't fully expended either. So a lot of that money from last year is available. Crystal ball only, I would suspect that both the town and Swan Valley West will see lower charges from RISE. Could be wrong, we'll see what the board decides, but just my suspicion of what I see there.
And I think I asked this question of the town too, there's no like hard and fast costs to RISE, like there's,
So there's a few things. I saw you ask the question, I thought, oh, I wonder if you'll ask me again. RISE is not paying rent. So I know the mayor kind of hinted at maybe there's rent or something, but they haven't been paying rent, which they only use in the building a few times a year, so
and there's no staff position.
there's no staff right now. They are paying a membership in the Chamber of Commerce for a couple $100 a year, which kind of is that token of using the building, something there. They're paying membership for Parkland Tourism about $100 a year, so that's recurring to them. Otherwise, the RISE expenses are fairly small. They had been paying audit fees a few years back, but the last couple of years, there's only been a few checks go through RISE every year, usually less than 5. I think last year was maybe 19 or 20 checks. So they haven't paid the audit fee. They've been providing to their partners instead a copy of the checks, a copy of the invoices, a copy of the QuickBooks, rather than paying $6,000 for just running through it. Last year, RISE did do that June AMM district meeting that was here. RISE footed the bill for the promotions that went with that. So the packages that every council member from outside of the area got that had, I think it was called the Taste of Swan River or Swan Valley, had a little bit of the mustard in it and had a little bit of something from Spruce Products, and a little bit of beef jerky, all the local products. So RISE paid out for that, and they spent, I would say, $5,000 or so on that. The big expense pending for RISE is that book. As it gets done, it's going to be a $25,000 bill. And then past that is going to be getting that book out. Because once you have the book sitting there, it's going to cost just as much to get it to the right people. But the book probably won't be done until late summer. So some of that getting it to people expense will go into next year likely.
Are those plans reliant on all 4 member municipalities participating?
So the book was budgeted for initially last year. All 4 member municipalities have paid the bill for last year. There certainly has been a member municipality indicate they're likely not going to pay this year. RISE, as you know, was in really bad shape for a while, and it very nearly dissolved, and the money was going to get spread back out and whatever. I see it as it was saved, so RISE still exists and it's still doing something, and anything RISE does is better than nothing. And it is getting further and further. We are seeing, like we saw a new hotel announced. Did RISE specifically get that new hotel? No, but we did put 3 days of labor into the market survey for it. So there's little things that RISE is doing to kind of encourage that stuff around. My personal preference, like I chair RISE, but my personal view of it is all 4 should be involved. Not only by money, but also by being there and being involved. There's some that historically hadn't paid their bill. And it's not who you think. The one bill that went unpaid was from somebody that usually pays their bills. But they said, well, there's no more. So I've been preaching forgiveness there of let's try to get along and let's try to move this whole valley forward and not worry as much about the dollars and cents. I'm only one vote on the board. So if somebody doesn't pay their bill this year, do they get thrown out of RISE? The board will have to decide.
I think that's all I saw for now.
Anybody else with questions, comments? Going once, going twice? Anything is fire game, like anything about the budget at all? All right. Does council wish to make any presentations, speak to it, any of that?
I think we looked at it already.
Okay.
I have one more quick question actually. What does that landfill upgrade consist of?
So landfill upgrade in Benito is proposed to be a few things. One is the leachate pond that we're required to build. We're also looking at building a second cell. So to begin with, we have to move some trees. Once the trees are moved, we can do the soil testing, get the leachate pond done, and hopefully the second cell all at the same time, because probably the spoils of the cell will help build the leachate pond. But outside of just that, we're looking at a change to how the landfill operates. So right now, the landfill building is kind of in the middle of the landfill. You don't have to stop like you do in Swan River. So we're likely to move that building out to the road, so you have to stop. We're not putting a scale in or anything, but we will be stopping every vehicle, looking at what you have. There's going to be a larger emphasis on the recycling. Benito's been having some issues in the landfill with plastic containers getting into the pit that really shouldn't. We have the recycle bins right there, so we're gonna try and get that recycling diverted better, because it'll save the pit in the long run. The more we can divert, the better it is. We're going to do some safety upgrades there. That was on the books before our little incident with the skid steer, but there's very poor cell phone service there, and our two-way radios don't work particularly well there either. So we've got some upgrading planned that will make the service better there. We're gonna go to some radios that if you don't move for a while, they start to beep. And if you're still not moving, then call someone else for help. So if you have somebody that falls over, has a heart attack, whatever, rather than it being 3 hours before we find them, it's 5 minutes when we find them. So we're gonna go do some of that stuff, just because people work alone there primarily. Some of it will be some housekeeping stuff, some fencing and stuff, because it's been honestly pretty messy there lately. You know, it's been pretty gross. So we're trying to get a lot of that cleaned up. Some of the upgrades will be crossover, like when we do that upgrade for communications, that's going to have some benefits to some other facilities of ours too, primarily in the Benito area. So we'll be taking phone lines out of some of the shops that really we use the phone line once a month. So we'll replace that with something else and save the $80 a month. So mostly that type of stuff. There'll be some engineering fees in it as well.
And I take it you're anticipating shovel in the ground for the fire hall this summer?
We are anticipating it. We have not yet released a tender, but the budget does provide for the full capital expense to be this year. We're just finishing up the land acquisition. Everything is done except we're waiting on highways to approve the permit for access. We were having a disagreement with them about the access. There's a tract of land right beside there that they felt was a road, and we felt it was a water pipeline. And that's taken us longer than I care to admit to resolve, but we have now determined it is actually a water pipeline. So we will not build a road on top of the pipeline, because that would just invite trouble later on. You know that's going to happen, right? If we build the road, we'll take it up a year later. So they've agreed to let the road go off to the side now. So we're just finalizing that with them. Permit should be issued shortly for that. Engineering is on its way for the drawing we're looking at. It's a fairly simple fire garage. It's not anything, you know, horribly fancy, but it'll certainly do the job for Benito for many, many years to come. And hopefully, all things working out well, the shell will be up before snow, so inside work can continue over the winter and be done.
You indicate the full millions coming out of reserve. Was there money coming from outside the municipality for that too?
So there's $500,000 from the provincial government that we received last year, and we committed that money into the reserve so that we could then pull it out this year, rather than just having an accumulated surplus. The other $500,000 is coming from the, what's now called the Building Canada Fund, but gas tax. It's eligible for fire halls, so we'll use it
So this full million is coming
from reserve.
direct from, the full million is coming from elsewhere?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Which, the $500,000 of the province really is coming from elsewhere. The gas tax money, we could use that on a road too, right? We could go and reconstruct a road. So, you know, it's kind of a misnomer to say, oh, it was free money. It wasn't. Because we would use it for something. We were getting it anyway. But yeah, there'd be, you could sell it that way, but at least half of it is found money.
That's it?
Are you sure?
Well, let me flip the page, maybe, you know.
You can always call me later too if you need to.
Yeah. That'll satisfy my curiosity for now.
Okay. Anybody else think of any questions in the meantime? If not, we'll go to number 4 on the agenda for the public hearing. Be it resolved, the public hearing shall now adjourn at 7:20 p.m. and that we reconvene the regular meeting of council. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Zbirun, and I saw Councillor Kushniryk's hand go up. Any discussion? Okay, Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. So as we come back to the regular meeting, in a moment my computer will catch up to us here. Is there anybody here, I know why a couple of you are here. Is there anybody else here that needs to talk to us about something that wasn't the budget? That are here for, I just want to make sure we fit everybody in. Or if you're just here to watch, that's fine too. You're welcome to it, but if there's anything specific, okay. So we'll head back into the regular meeting. Someplace we have a resolution for that. We'll start at number 4, I suppose. Be it resolved that the minutes for the regular council meeting held April 22nd, 2025 be adopted as presented. Be it also resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of the council held April 29th, 2025 be adopted as presented, and be it resolved the minutes of the special meeting of council held May 6th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Is there someone to move that? Councillor Burick, and someone to second the resolution. Councillor Zbirun. Copies of all of those minutes are attached to the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to read them? Does anyone need more time? Were there any errors or omissions that you found in the minutes? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Let's head to, do we have a time for that? Was that 7:10?
There wasn't really time.
Okay, so let's go to Mr. Haluschak's delegation. Welcome.
The reason I'm here is quite simple.
Sit down, Alex.
No,
You want to
this
stand?
isn't stand. It's a calcium issue that we have on our road. And the curse being the Burnside Bridge, till it was there, we never had an issue. But now all the traffic from Manitoba area, the guys don't come down the Civic Road, so they cut across and they come down our road. And I've been paying like $5.50 forever for calcium. And I feel it's actually become a haul road since that bridge has been put up there. So I was wondering whether council would consider sharing the cost of the calcium. That's my only concern. Like we, last year, or the year before, we never got calcium until after the rodeo, which is, you know, we pay for it in May, and you don't get it till the end of July. There's something wrong with the whole picture, in my estimation. And so we get put up with the dust all summer when we pay for it in the spring. That's the only concern I've got. So I'd like to see council consider making it a haul road or whatever and do a cost share on the calcium application. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Haluschak?
Sal, you're willing to pay half?
Oh yeah, like I've been paying $5.50 forever. Half wouldn't hurt me at all, but at the same time, we've got so much more traffic. Like with cement works, they all sneak down that way. All the farmers from the Saugers, everybody, the Shaws, anybody that's avoiding the Civic Road comes down the back way and down our road, hits the pavement and then hits the Pioneer. So that's what's happening with our road.
We should have never built that bridge.
Exactly. That's I said, that bridge is a curse.
You're the first one that said that. Everybody likes it.
Yeah, but you're and part of that whole program. Mind you, it has served us well. And in the future, you know, it's a bridge that's going to be awful important before long. It is now, but it's going to get more important as bridges start collapsing around that road. Anyway, that is all I've got. Anybody else got a question or anything? Well, thank you for your time and your
Thank you for
consideration.
All right, thanks. Let's go to 6.2, which is a bylaw here. Now, we don't don't do this particularly often. In fact, this is the first time since I've been here that we've had a bylaw hearing at a council meeting. But our animal control bylaw provides that if a fine is issued by the animal control officer, the person who is subject to the fine has the opportunity to pay it, basically plead guilty and pay the fine, or show up at council meeting and explain to us why they shouldn't pay the fine or look for a reduction or whatever, which basically boils down to the same as if you had to go for a speeding ticket to court. So tonight we have Mr. Barteski here. I think he wishes to speak to council. Council has a copy of the two notices of breach of bylaw. So Mr. Barteski, if you want to join us, we'd love to hear anything you want to share with us.
Hi everybody, I'm Dean. I know most of you. Yeah, I just received this today. I don't know when it hit the mail, but I guess I should check the mail more than once a week. So I'll start by saying I have 2 Labrador Retriever dogs that I've paid thousands of dollars for. They're both microchipped, they're both tattooed. They're my kids. They live in the house with me. When it's 30 degrees out, they've got the air conditioning. When it's cold out, they live in the house. I don't go anywhere without them. They're sitting outside in the truck with the truck running right now. Now, my dogs don't run out at large. I love them. But that said, this spring I've had issues. My male dog is 7 years old and he can't be neutered because he has a heart condition and he won't survive anesthetic. He needs heart surgery, which he will never survive either. And 7 years old, he's probably not going to make it too much longer. But when a female does go into heat, it's a little nuts around my place. So I had an overhead line, but he's smart enough where he'll twist himself out and he'll take off, and I know exactly where he goes. So I'll go across town and I'll pick him up. Now I'm aware I've been targeted because one of the people that complain the most I don't get along with, so he probably drops my name and makes complaints. But that said, you know, the dogs are always with me. I never leave them at home. I don't believe in just tying them up. I take them out and exercise them every day. And since then, that was April 11th is when we had the confrontation with animal control, or April 12th, I guess. But I even take them out into Sleepy Hollow and, you know, we go walking out of town. I don't even walk around Kenville anymore. Since the incident, since I vented on you immediately afterwards, which I apologize for hurting your feelings if I did.
You didn't?
I went in the house and I ordered 2 electronic GPS collars. I staked out my yard, trained my dog. It took maybe 3-4 days, several times a day, and it worked very, very well. And then as soon as the frost went out, just like I told you I was going to do, I fenced off 10,000 square feet. And I've got another 10,000 square feet where we put the poles in, but when my son comes home, we'll stretch we've used welded wire with 1-inch squares, 54 inches tall, and then 2x4s across the top and the bottom so they can't, you know, squeeze under. And it's been perfect, you know. So, I mean, I have done things to prevent what's been going on. My dog would have been neutered and, you know, this would be under control if it was at all possible. My female is spayed, so she'll never be an issue. And, you know, I feel that I've always had a good relationship with the RM. You know, I help you guys out when I can. And that same day, this happened at, I think, 10 a.m. in the morning. By, I think it was 1 p.m., all of hell was breaking loose in Kenville and everything was flooding out. And one of your workers asked for help, so I fired up the excavator and I worked for about an hour, and I never even thought about sending a bill. And I won't. Same with hauling branches to my fire pit. You know, I want to maintain a good relationship. But I feel that this isn't warranted. Like I say, he's 7 years old. We've been around there a long time. And I know that I'm on the radar and I know why. And that's about all I have to say about that.
So specific to the 5th and the 12th, was your dog at large those days?
Well, I suppose if you want to say he walked across town to his girlfriend's house, absolutely. I never sent him for mail.
I'm not laughing at you, that was just.
Some days I'll send him to go get the mail first.
You're an imagination.
But he never.
Your imagination.
I know, but.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not laughing.
I see one of the pictures was on private property and that's where he would go. I think the date is wrong though. I think it was April 11th. But
Those are pictures of your dogs, Steve? They're your dogs?
just the one dog that has been giving me
What
grief.
kind of dogs do you see?
A yellow lab and a chocolate lab,
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
but
Does anyone from council have questions for Mr. Barteski on this?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's him there.
yeah.
So ultimately, under the process settled in our bylaw, Mr. Barteski has done his part. He's appeared here to explain what happened that day and the larger picture of what's been happening there as well. And I think he's done a good job of that. We are charged with determining if we uphold the tickets as written and fine him the $100 for each of those. Our choice is per ticket, so it doesn't have to be both. It could be one, it could be both, it could be none. Or if we want to vary that fine at all, we can also do that. We have a lot of leeway for what council can do, but we are required to dispose of the matter tonight. So we need to make a decision on this. So who has suggestions of what you would think we should do? I think we've heard he's guilty, but is there extenuating circumstances that, you know what I mean?
Well,
Councilor Blosha?
I wasn't laughing at you, that was just
No, I
funny.
understand.
But, like, I'm just happy to hear of all the preventative measures you're going to now to make sure he's not running at large.
And it's just that
And-
once or twice a year when there's about 5 females that go into heat and it's all one after the other and it's an absolute night. Like he has chewed through the door of the house, like it's difficult. So I think when they go into heat next time, he'll have to wear his electronic collar and the fence because they'll dig underneath the fence. Then
And-
it's horrible when it's just hormones and they're like a dog that you don't even recognize when that situation takes over. You know, I didn't like him very much for about 2 weeks this April, but you know, it's not his fault.
Yeah, that's all.
Councilor Burick?
I feel the same way as Councilor Blosha. Like, you're taking pretty big steps there, Dean, to rectify, to protect your animals and to keep them confined. That's a pretty big expense.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
I've
trying,
spent,
I'm
you know,
not saying-
$2,500 so far,
It
but
is a
it'll
good-
be
and
more.
You're trying to keep them contained to an area, and you're also got these collars that you're talking about and that to make.
I was very impressed with them. They run off 6 satellites, and there's actually 12 satellites there in Kenville, so it was really good coverage.
So, these pictures that you have here, unfortunately, somebody was at the right place at the right time. when
It was
the
the
dog
animal,
walking road
it was
was
the
gone.
animal control officer.
That was our animal control
Okay,
officer.
so I mean,
taking this.
it was
So it was the only time,
Yeah.
you know, like 9 o'clock in the morning, I would get out and let them out to go pee. And of course, the girl would come back in and he would go across town, so I would go, you know, as quickly as possible to collect him, but I think the picture was at 9:30 and he showed up at 10 o'clock knocking on the door, so it was already too late. And he walked straight to his girlfriend's
Yeah.
house and
So, like, I mean, you're trying to do your best, and you're not, you know, you're trying to do your best, so I mean, my vote is.
I don't want to be a bad
My
neighbor.
vote is to bury the, whatever you want to call them, bury them, and write them off or whatever. That's my vote.
Who wants their opinion next?
Well, I think he's taken measures to prevent him getting out. I agree with you two.
Councilor Zbirun, what say you?
Well, see, I got a Great Pyrenees that likes to chase coyotes, and he'll chase them right down Main Street in Benito. And then he says, "Oh, look at that!" and he just veers off. But he spends an hour or so in Benito, and then he comes home. So I can't really.
Yeah, you can't fault him for it.
Yeah, I know. What do you do?
understand. No,
I mean,
it's not like he's letting
we had
them run
coyotes
loose.
walking right down our driveway. Now we don't. So
Well, yeah, we go after coyotes all winter too. We have them in the yard, but that's another thing. Like they're hunting dogs and they're, you know, trained for retrieving. And I see in your bylaws that you're not even really legally allowed to take them out chicken hunting unless they're on a leash. And one set of your bylaws, I think, on the internet, were signed by Mr. Bueller, which, what was that, the late 90s maybe? And then the set that I was emailed was by Mr. Reeve. So is this Swan Valley West bylaws that you've adopted now, the copy by Reeve, or?
Swan Valley West is not yet.
I understand
updated
that.
Animal control, so we still have a separate one for Benito as for the rest of the municipality. There's still the grandfathered ones for the previous municipalities.
Okay, so I guess the Reeve one would be the most current. But I find it interesting, there's a few things in there. But, no, I absolutely admit that the pictures were not faked.
Councillor Kushniryk, I never heard yours completely yet.
I think the purpose of the fine was to really promote rectifying the problem. $200 will do nothing.
Well, you and
for
I
us.
have had talks before, and you run the same cable system that I've tried, and like,
Yeah, much smaller dog.
well, you even ask Joe, his neck is bigger than his head, so
Yeah.
you pretty much have to choke him to chain him,
Yeah.
which, you know, and then they sit and howl and bark, and you don't want to do that to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, no one can say you're not trying.
I would like to think that I'm trying.
Well, for what you told me here, you're trying. That's,
I appreciate that.
Reeve, Gade, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
A suggestion that might help Mr. Barteski, when I was transporting rams and ewes to shows, we used a good old fashioned bottle of Vicks on the ram's nose. What they don't smell settles them down. But stud dogs, they can smell a bitch and heat 5 miles.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
okay, now I'm laughing again. It's not even funny.
Well, I know when I was because labs chew on everything when they're puppies, I would rub like hot sauce on the furniture. And then as soon as they would smell it, they wouldn't chew on the gun cabinet or the table anymore. But Vicks, boy, that's, as long as it's not cruel. I don't know if that burns. People use Vicks on their nose, don't they?
Put it on their feet.
She should
That's a good idea, thank you.
She should know, she's got lots of dogs,
Okay, so have a resolution, see if this is council's wish. Be it resolved in the matter of the April 5th and April 12th breach of bylaw notices for Dean Barteski. Council finds that on the balance of probabilities the dogs were running at large on both occasions, but given the measures taken since the infractions to control the problem, the fines for each of the breaches be varied to $0. Is that what council's after?
yeah.
In the future, if my dogs are running away, it's by accident.
Yeah.
And I, you know, as soon as I notice, I go after, like when I'm working outside in the yard, they're with me. And they never leave my side unless something smelly is going on.
I think overall, Kenville has been a difficult situation for us because we've received so many complaints.
Yeah, but
that
you're
something
getting
had to
complaints from
change.
the same 3 people all the time.
Not entirely.
Oh,
true.
not really?
No,
Oh,
there
okay.
are other people as well. And we're trying to, like, from the internal view of it, we're trying not to, like you say, there's 1 or 2 that may be all the time. But we're trying to not give those the same weight as people that don't normally complain. So when we hear from other people about the same issue, then we get more interest in huffing to get it resolved. But I think from everything you've told us tonight, and certainly what I've heard in the last couple of weeks from folks in Kenville, it's much, much better.
So my dog is the only one that's been contained.
Yes.
And it's much, much better because my dog's been contained.
So I've been told from people that live there.
That's unbelievable. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And it's the same group of people, the 3 or 4 of them are all friends. Interesting. That's good to know.
Is there someone that wishes to move the resolution? Okay, we'll take Councillor Burick. I saw Councillor Blosha by just a hair ahead of Councillor Zbirun. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? So Mr. Barteski, you're not required to make a payment on those?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Have a good night.
Yeah, see you, Dean. Good.
Good evening.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Okay, let's head to number 5, Public Works Report. So our lead hand has provided us a report tonight, transportation update. All the washouts have been addressed and repaired. We've run into some in regards to beavers that have been repairing the roads and clearing dams and plug culverts as they rise. Working on a map and list for annual preventative maintenance to stay ahead of the issue. Graveling has officially started as of Monday, May 12th. Cook Brothers started in the north. Hauling from the Birch River pit to start. Jason Barkman is starting at Alpine, hauling from the Kalinowski pit. Calcium was applied to Pioneer Road from the tracks to Highway 10 last week. Mowing has started in Durbin and Bonito. Empty lots being mowed this week, as well as parks and areas around railway tracks. Schulte mowers are almost finished being completely serviced and repaired. Sean's been busy with servicing the equipment and learning the ins and outs of the water treatment plant. Mark and Sean did a great job starting to clean up the landfill entrance. Plans to continue to clean up the landfill and start preparing it for proper setup in the near future. Update on the grader in Durbin. Spoke with the vendor there on May 13th. The engine had not been ordered yet, but is being ordered. There should be a new update soon. New flags and poles are going up in the Bonito office this week, which some of you will know we've been chasing for a little over 2 years now, but it is about to happen. And they're also doing the repairs to the Swan River office. Outside of that, I can tell you that I've seen some pictures from the landfill, from that cleanup they were doing. They were very impressive. I don't think they made it here tonight, but the entrance to the landfill was much better than it's looked in a long time. So slowly but surely we're making progress there. Discussion on the Public Works report tonight. Councillor Burick.
Which mower is cutting grass in, is it the Deere tractor? The Deere, and which the New Holland's fixed already or still being fixed?
Moments away from it. Last I heard last week was the part was supposed to be in and they were installing it and done.
Okay.
So it should be available
So-
any moment.
Okay, so both mowers are ready to go or still fixing?
I think the last mower, they were changing a gearbox on it last week. It had a bunch of filings in it and they were changing that out. There was some welding to be done on one of the arms. It was cracked very severely. I think the welding has been completed already, but don't quote me on that.
They
But
had
it's-
it, they had it in there working on it yesterday,
Yeah.
and today I saw it as well.
They've
I
had a
go
lot
from
more
there.
maintenance than they've had in the last few years because Sean's basically torn them apart and put them back together.
So you say the mower is working in the Durbin area, so is that?
It's not mowing ditches.
Not second or
It's
third
just,
cuts?
it's just cutting like empty lots
Oh,
and
empty
stuff in
lots,
Durbin,
okay, okay.
where there's like fire potential and stuff, I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah, and they're doing like the CN lot in Bonito,
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
doing the mowing.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure, I kind of suspect it's the Bonito mower that's out there right now.
It's,
I think it's maybe not the ditch mower, it
what
might
color
be
is the bonito more?
also green.
Oh, my.
Who's
No,
running,
it hasn't
who's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
running
green.
who's running the mower?
So I believe it was our summer student that was
Yeah.
running it this week.
That's who I seen in the car.
I remember through the disc golf.
I don't know if they've been there, they had a little accident on Monday with destroying the mower.
Yeah,
Is-
they didn't move till.
Is our
3 o'clock
scrubber,
today.
I think
is our scrubber working Bill anywhere or no? The big
Oh,
one?
she-
I
she's in
don't
the
know
tractor.
if it is right now. We were doing the washouts and such and putting
Okay.
culverts back in, so I don't know if they've gone back to scrubbing.
Okay.
If they've done all the rest of the stuff, they probably have, but I don't know if, 'cause there were some of those washouts that needed it to fix the
Is there
issues.
any word on the skid steer or we discuss it later? or-
So skid steer, last we've heard is there's an adjuster assigned. They've gotten the details of where we're at with it. They're currently awaiting a ruling on whether or not it's going to Winnipeg for evaluation or whether they're coming here. So they've provided a quote to the insurance company on the various options of haul it there or whatever. They note the insurance company still hasn't actually agreed to pay for the loss yet, but they are investigating what the loss is. So we still don't have a final answer.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Anything else? How is Ward 6? Is it doing all right up there?
No, we need a lot of work. We gotta get the graders working, get the mowers going, get the
Where's
stuff
that
going.
Yeah.
Ward 6 needs some serious attention.
Councillor Zbirun.
One more in the gallery to address them, or is he just here to listen?
Just listening.
I don't know how that works, so. I'm
Yeah,
just-
well, do you want to talk to us or are you just here to watch?
Me?
Yeah,
I'm just
here.
Okay. When people show up, like the old way was, we said, you're not allowed to speak. But we figure if somebody comes all the way in and they have something they want to say to council, why not let them say it?
Yeah.
But if you're just here to watch, that's great, enjoy the seat.
Jeremy can still ask questions, we haven't cut him off.
Okay, let's move to finance, 9-1, general checks. Be it resolved, the council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General checks number 20468 to 20503, in the amount of $583,897.17. Someone to move the resolution, please. Councillor McGregor, and someone to second it. Councillor Kushniryk. I have a copy of the checks and the invoices here. Who has questions? Councillor Blosha.
20488, that would be the hydro again.
20488 is the hydro.
Okay, and Durban Shop is always so high. Why is Durban Shop the highest and by far the highest?
Let me find Durban Shop on the list. So Durban Shop's $1,063, which does seem,
It's always that high and
Do
it's
they
always,
heat with hydro?
they do heat with hydro
I was
there.
wondering, is this shop gas in Swan?
Yes, supposedly
So that's a big
Swan
difference
and
there.
or
maybe
gas.
that's the
And the meter
difference,
shop
but
is,
Gas.
this is April. April wasn't that cold.
So this was issued March 30.
but they're usually a month behind, aren't they?
March, yeah, okay, it's March.
It said Durban, but it wasn't Durban Shop. Let me keep going. Okay, so here's actual Durban Shop. This indicates there was a customer reading and was read March 28th.
So that would be March bill.
Yeah.
So that's all right.
How much bigger is
Open the door a couple times.
how much bigger is the Durban shop than the Swan River shop?
Slightly.
Slightly bigger.
Because I mean, there's not much difference, one is 1,000, a little bit over 1,000, the other one's a little over 800.
Swan's
But
gas.
Swan's heating with gas, it's
Yeah.
Oh,
different.
okay, well, that's less, still $800 for Swan River shop.
Anyway, it always seems like the Durban Shop is double the price.
It does. Next.
That's all I could find.
Oh, pass that on to finance. They can only find one thing then.
It's just a question, it's nothing, it's not finance's fault by any means.
Yeah.
But it's just
I always
bothers me every
appreciate
time.
if we can't find much to ask about. Hey, anything else? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Payroll checks 9-2. Be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Payroll payments number 768 to 782, the amount of $26,036.33. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, and I see Councillor Burick in the back there. A copy of the payroll summary is attached for council tonight. Is there any questions on that? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? That's carried. 9-3, indemnities. Be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approve the following payments. Indemnities for April, number 4684 to 4692, in the amount of $12,252.65. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Zbirun, and someone to second it. Councillor Kushniryk. Any questions or discussion on the indemnities this month? Hearing nothing, we'll call the resolution question. Those in favor? That is carried. Heading into discussion items this evening, 10-1, the RCMP April report is attached to the agenda. Does anyone wish a long description of this?
No.
All right. So we'll summarize this simply to say that in April, there's 23 calls for service in Swan Valley West. That's up from the 16 we had the month before, but down from the first 2 months that were 29 and 24. If anyone's interested in seeing the entire report, hit up our website and a copy is provided for you.
Have a magnifying glass though.
Yes. 10-2, we were approached by, which municipality was it?
It's the AMM, that's
Oh, okay,
for
so
the district resolution.
So this resolution that's attached is coming to the district meeting in June. The question is if we wish to support it or not as a listing. So it's, the original email is attached to the thing here. It's Ashley Hay, who's a professional engineer, civil engineering. Their concern relates to what drainage and water rights licensing branch is doing, which is essentially saying that class 6 and 7 soils can never have a drainage project approved in them. Now, a lot of class 6 and 7 soil is things like beachfront that can't have development anyway, but it's not only that. So they attached at least one example here where there's an area that could be developed for cottages, and yet because it's class 6 and 7 soil, even though the regulations say drainage could occur there, they're refusing to issue any permits for it. So the resolution is very long, but it essentially boils down to the idea that the AMM should deal with this and look at why it is they're not issuing permits when the regulations say they could. What are people's thoughts on supporting this resolution to go forward? There'll be two parts to this question. One is if we pass a resolution in full support, our name will be on the bottom of it as it goes through the AMM process. But even if we don't, obviously this will be coming for voting at the district meeting, and those of us going to the district meeting should have some indication from council of how you want us to vote on this resolution when it comes to district. So we kind of follow the wishes of council. They don't have thoughts, comments.
Well, it's not, if you read the second part and go through it, like, it's not farmable land by any means.
No.
They just want to develop on it. I support it, actually.
Okay.
So
How do others feel?
that's how I read it.
Is there some downside to this if we, like,
It doesn't really affect, I don't think, any of our area,
We
but it's the neighborly thing. They're asking for support from other municipalities because they have a problem, and they would like us to join in supporting them and saying that they should basically follow the rules instead of make new rules that are more restrictive.
I'd support it. Yeah.
Read the second one, it's better, it's explained better. Their resolution, actually.
It's a long resolution, I think.
I read it a couple times today, just to...
Folks still want more time?
so they just want things left the same?
The
Basically,
rules right now is that they should be able to get a drainage permit there, but when they apply for one, they're like, no, we're not approving that. Even though,
or the law,
The law
it's written that
says-
they say they,
yes,
They can't.
it's just internally, they've all decided we won't issue those permits anymore without actually changing the law. So I guess the province changed the law, but it would have to go through the process of actually changing the law and having input from people instead of just making new law quietly and enforcing something that's not written down.
yeah, I guess we could support them.
So I have a resolution, be it resolved, the Council of Municipalities of Swan Valley West supports the drainage resolution attached to be forwarded to the Association of Manitoba Municipalities for review at the June district meeting. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, and I see Councillor Kushniryk as well. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? Thus carried. 10.3, emergency preparedness. An email is attached. This is from the emergency preparedness gentleman. at the Armor Mountain. Now, we're recommending that we will bring this forward to the G4 meeting coming up in June for discussion of having a large emergency tabletop exercise. So this wouldn't be out in the real world, but actually putting the 4 municipalities together to practice our emergency response, which is probably a good idea given that the world is slowly but surely getting to be a stranger place. We thankfully haven't had the type of grass fire we've seen in southern Manitoba yet, but you just never know what could happen here. So if that's fine by everybody, we're going to just stick that onto the G4 agenda for the group to discuss. 10.4 is a request from the Swan River Golf and Country Club. They're asking if we would be willing to donate for a reduced fee dust control for the 2025 season. Copy of what happened last year is attached. You may recall they were having a fundraising tournament of some sort, and they had asked us to donate a prize or something to it. And so what we had donated to them was some dust control. So we provided them a $550 donation towards the dust control. So they would have paid $3,300 last year. They had some other donations, I think. They ended up paying $2,200 for what would have been $3,300 of dust control. Does council wish to do anything for them this year?
How did the flake work out by Pioneer?
I haven't driven
It
on
looks good, looks good.
So I mean, how much would it cost us, real world cost, to just do their calcium with flake?
Less than the liquid,
Yeah.
because we wouldn't have to apply it as thickly. We've, at Pioneer last year, we did 4 bags, which
How
is
many feet is
about,
that?
we did over 500 feet at Pioneer,
Well, this is asking for 3,000.
yes.
I'm not sure if that flake will carry on though till, for the whole year, because usually we apply the flake on early, and then apply when the calcium comes in June or whatever. The flake won't hold it the whole length of the summer. Seems that way. It looks good at the beginning, but
The flake is basically the same product. It's calcium instead of magnesium, but it's much the similar idea. But the Pioneer Road has so incredibly much traffic, when it gets really dry, it still becomes powder. And then, no matter how much product you have on there, it tends to get unfortunate. Does anyone want to propose that we give them something this year?
Well, they do, like they explain in their letter too, they do like let the golf course be used for like the cross-country ski trails. That's no charge to our residents, right? But we give something to that, do we not? But that's different, I guess.
Usually we do. I don't know if it's for those ski trails or the ones at the museum, but there's some sort of ski trail group that we give some money to that probably does both, but I don't know.
I'd say do the same as last year. I'd say.
The 5, yeah, I'm not.
So do they want their parking lot done or the road past?
No, they do
this?
the whole road,
Yeah.
like
The whole length, the whole
Which
length.
road?
the whole
Which
length
road?
past the clubhouse.
Going east and
And they
west?
actually do a little bit on the other
Well,
They
let's
side.
go
go
both ways.
west, a little
Yeah.
bit north and south, but most of the east-west. Basically, it keeps the dust off the golf
Yeah,
course
yeah,
this summer.
yeah.
Now, it has the benefit of making our road be in a little better shape too.
That's right.
Oh, I say we give them the 550. Like
So
we did
basically
last
do the
year.
same as last
The
year?
same as last year.
Do you folks want a resolution, or you just want to direct the staff to do the same as last year?
I would say direct the staff to do the same.
You were so directed to repeat last year, please.
Easier than,
Yes. Okay, 10.5. This is the tax bylaw. Now, there's an interesting thing here. So a new copy is attached to third reading. There was a change in this. The price for Bonito went up slightly, the mill rate. So the new mill rates are attached in there. It wasn't a change to the dollar figures. What changed was the assessment amounts. So the budget stayed the same dollar-wise, but assessment-wise, there was an adjustment to what the actual value of Benito is, which caused the mill rate to go up. So the new one is what's in this attached to third reading. We didn't also attach it to second reading because it's the same thing. But that was what was presented tonight in this document, is those updated mill rates that are slightly higher for Benito. The at-large stayed the same, but the Benito one was adjusted a little bit. And the adjustments, I think, happened there both on the sewer and on the sewer one. I don't even know if we looked at before, but the LUD mill rate changed and the sewer run changed slightly. Wasn't huge changes, but the numbers aren't the same as in first reading. So let's take a peek at the resolution. Be resolved that bylaw number 011425, being a bylaw of the Municipality of Swan Valley West for the levying of taxes for the year 2025 shall be read a second time. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Kushniryk. Is there someone to second the resolution? Councillor Burick. Discussion. Questions, comments, discussion, anything from anyone? We'll get another chance in 30 seconds when we get to third reading. Councillor Zbirun, you look like you need a minute.
Yeah, I think.
Third reading here, please.
Until you're ready.
What's the mill rate for rural?
14.599. Yes.
That's not rural.
That's
No, that's
at large.
at
no
large.
rural.
Yeah, there's rural
There
is
is no
zero.
rural.
The at large is 14.599.
And for the LUD?
The LUD is 5.342, so that's on top of the at large. So they pay. That
Just-
must be.
Well, just one question, and it might be a really dumb question, but
That's the one.
if we're amalgamated and we're all the same, why aren't we all the same?
You mean why is there an LUD rate?
Yeah,
So the residents of Benito, back in the days of amalgamation, chose to have an LUD. It was a transitional LUD. They could have gotten rid of it after a few years. The LUD committee themselves had to decide whether to stay or not. They chose to stay. Because they stayed, instead of us imposing special service levies on Benito for garbage collection, we impose it through the LUD service plan. So if we didn't do the LUD, we would instead be passing a special services plan for, say, garbage collection, which would have a mill rate attached to it for what it costs to have garbage collected at the doors instead of them having to take it to a depot. And similar things, if they want their sidewalks, the snow cleared on them, we would then be doing a special services levy for the area of Benito, and it would have a mill rate attached to it as well. So there would still be, it's council obviously decision. Council could decide to just not charge Benito for garbage pickup and pick it up there and nowhere else. I can't imagine council would do that, but council sometimes does weird things. But in theory, there would always be some additional charge for being in Benito because you're receiving services that you don't get everywhere else.
so I'm just trying to remember things. On our many comments, Brad, we were talking about that
Nice.
if I had a $100,000 house and you had a $100,000 house, our taxes would be the same. But wouldn't I pay more taxes if I had a paved street going in front of my house? Wouldn't I pay more taxes if I had street lights and you name it, all the other goodies of living in town?
Well, in theory, your assessment should go up and reflect some of that, but we also do pay, you can see right here, a little less than 30% more than what the guys out there that aren't paying the LED rate pay.
You pay 30% more.
That extra mill rate is all over and above.
So, I don't know, I have a hard time because I look back at what it, even back to 2012, the interim budget for Benito was, just their interim, was $380,000. And 10 years in the future, when everything tripled in price, the budget for Benito is $180,000. I have a hard time with that. anyways. Okay,
Any other discussion, questions, comments? So we're on second reading. This is not a recorded vote. Third reading will be. So we'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? That has caught everybody, so the resolution is carried. 10.6. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0114-25, being a bylaw of the Municipality of Swan Valley West for the levying of taxes for the year 2025 shall be read a third time and passed this 13th day of May 2025. Be it further resolved that the bylaw be signed by the Reeve and signed and sealed by the Chief Administrative Officer. Is there someone who would like to move the resolution? Councillor McGregor. Someone to second the resolution? Councillor Kushniryk. Discussion on the resolution. Copy of the bylaw is attached to the agenda, as is required for third reading. Third reading is also required to be a recorded vote. A recorded vote on a bylaw, you can vote yes, no, or abstained. If you abstain on a bylaw vote on third reading, you must provide a reason for your abstention. For yeses or nos, no reason is required. You can vote your conscience. But if you're not voting, you have to state a reason why you didn't vote. That is then recorded in the minutes. So, not giving advice to anyone here, but whatever you want that reason to be is recorded in the minutes. So, I have in the past, instead of voting no, abstained, so that my reason for the no was recorded. That's an option for people if you want to do it. Is there any discussion on third reading of the bylaw? Hearing none, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those that wish to vote yes, can I please have a show of hands? I will vote yes as well. So I see Councillor Blosha, Councillor Burick, Reeve, Gade, Councillor Kushniryk, Councillor McGregor, Councillor Neely. I'm marking absent because he's not here. Those that wish to vote no, a show of hands please. We will record that as a no. So the bylaw is carried by a vote of 5-1 with one absent. 10.7, conditional variance orders. Whereas the owners of part southwest quarter section 173527 west, the owner has made application for the variation order to subdivide a 13.81 acre parcel, which is larger than the allowable 10 acres, and also application for conditional use to allow a non-farm dwelling in the AG agricultural zone, requiring approval from the Municipality of Swan Valley West as per community planning. Therefore be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West has set a public hearing date of June 10th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. in order to hear from those who may be opposed or supportive of the proposed variation order and conditional use. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, and someone to second the resolution? Councillor Zbirun. A copy of the notices are attached. As we get to that meeting, of course, we'll have the rest of the package and all the information. Tonight we're setting only the date for it. We're not approving or denying it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. 10.8. Be it resolved the Urban Animal Control Report for March and April 2025 be received and approved for payment. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, is there someone to second it? Councillor Kushniryk. Copy of the Animal Control Report for both March and April is attached to the agenda. Is there any questions or discussion tonight?
It's a busy month for that one.
you know what he says, springtime.
I guess. Like, I mean, the urban one was.
Hearing nothing else, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 10.9. Be it resolved the Rural Animal Control Report for April 2025 be received and approved for payment. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Kushniryk, and someone to second the resolution? Councillor McGregor. Any discussion? The report is attached to the agenda for both council but also for the public if they wish to take a look at it. It deals mostly with the matter we dealt with earlier in the meeting, but also there's some additional calls there. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? That's carried. 1010 Thunder Hill Ski Club. I put this on here because I had a visit with them earlier today and I wanted to remember to tell you about it. So a few weeks ago, we received a call from someone asking for permission to burn the old ski lodge at the top of the hill. The club has decided that it will be decommissioned because they don't feel it can be used for anything. We had a discussion. They wanted the fire department to attend to the burn, and they were hoping to do that in a day or two. And we said, "What are you doing exactly? We should have a little talk about this." So can advise that the ski club will not be burning the chalet anytime soon. It will be decommissioned in the fall. They have since found out that all of their electrical goes through that building. So if they did just tear it down, they'd have a problem of fairly substantial portions, and so would we, because the power for the municipal repeater also goes through that building. So I had some discussions with them today. I was quizzing them what they do with the power. All they use it for is lighting up there. So I said we would have a further discussion between them and us and see how it's going to work out. They're going to pay for moving it, but if we're willing to pay for the hydrometer, because primarily we're using it for our radio system for the RM, we might be agreeable to that. I said we'd have that talk some more. It would help the hill a little bit, save them 50, 60 bucks a month. And they don't have any heat up there once that chalet is gone, so their use is quite negligible. We probably, neither of us use very much at all at that point, but then it would
Could be
be,
used for storage or something.
it's infested. And the other issue is the land is sloughing.
Oh,
So each year they're having to build back up to keep it from going down the hill. So I talked about because there's the septic tank and stuff up there, so what if this was torn down and something new was put there? Because we've always talked about having something up there you could rent, right?
yeah.
But their worries if we put it in the same spot, they would have to keep doing maintenance every single year, else it would go down the hill. And to move it to a different spot, there's no confirmed complete plans yet, but essentially what's there is being removed. And there's a good chance nothing's going back, but certainly if anyone has suggestions or thoughts on that, you could talk to the ski club some more and we could see what we could do, but they indicated they've got the engineering well underway for the magic carpet. They thought that engineering will be done in the next week or so. They're hoping to have the installation done of the magic carpet sometime in August, so it's ready to go for the next season. So, a little update from them. Moving to correspondence, 11-1, district registration for AMM. That's coming up in June. Presumably we need to know who is going. It is in Gilbert Plains or Grandview, one of those two. Gilbert Plains. It
Which
is
day?
on June the, I have it on my calendar,
17th.
June 17th, which is a Tuesday. It's not a council meeting day for us, it's an off day. It's an all-day thing. You go basically first thing in the morning and then come home after.
It's usually done by just 1, isn't it?
Sometimes, last year here it went until about 2:30 or so.
Because usually it's like lunch.
Last time they had the province with them, so the justice minister's with. I don't know if the province is coming out this time, but I assume it'll be hard if you're driving bus because you won't be able to get away. Anybody else interested in going to that?
Yeah, I might be.
Okay, so shall we register you already?
No, let me,
Okay, let us know in a
let's
day
see
or
what
two.
where the other half is gonna be.
Okay, if you could let us know soon,
Yeah.
we'll get you registered if you're going. And anybody else that hasn't said yes tonight, but all of you, if you decide you are going, please let us know in the next day or two so we can get the registrations in, because we have to pre-register for it. HR Citation Canada. I admit I know nothing about this, so we'll defer to the CAO.
It was just on here, so I didn't forget to mention it. Just was wondering if there was any interest in an HR package for helping to keep track of employee files, policies, procedures, operation SOPs for different pieces of equipment. There's programs out there that'll do that for you, which is time saving. Something that they can also keep track of is different licensings that we need for certificates that people hold. It can be quite customized to what we're looking for. I know we have a small staff compared to some, so it basically is a cost factor.
Any idea what it would cost to do something like this?
It's their deal. If you commit to a 3-year, each year is just under $5,000. So I mean, they would have to provide quite a bit
Yeah,
in
I
order
don't
to
know.
justify that.
So, I don't know.
Do they have like a brochure or
Yeah,
something
let's
that
see what
explains it
they
all?
provide,
Yeah, I do
actually.
have some information I can share.
Yeah, if you could share it to us either on the next agenda or just email it out or something, so
Yeah.
we'll take a look.
I just didn't know if there was any interest in that at all, so I sure will put in what I know there.
Okay, so yeah, we're not hearing yes or no yet, but if you could share it,
Okay.
we will take a peek. 11.3, the Honorable Glenn Samard sent us a letter. He's speaking about maximizing economic benefit for spending. Essentially, they're working on changing the rules so that we can buy Canadian product easier. And essentially say in our tenders, you must be Canadian for us to consider you. Right now, the rules don't necessarily allow that. So the letter indicates that they will be working with the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, and in the future, we will have a meeting with them of some sort, and it could well be the June district meeting for us to provide input on what we think of their new policy. Let's move to 13, committee reports. We will start with Councillor Zbirun tonight.
Nothing, just the meetings we had here, that was it.
Okay, Councillor McGregor.
I had a library meeting, maybe you can update us on the computer situation. As of last meeting, the new computers weren't operational yet, but they are there. I think I've mentioned that last meeting. LP truck drivers made a donation of $2,100, which was very nice. Benito Library will be doing a book sale during the garage sale. And we had an incident report that was somewhat disturbing, but I don't know. We're all familiar with Scarlett Hansen. She apparently walked in and caused quite a ruckus and decided to start eating in the library, and they just told her she couldn't eat in the library, and then caused a scene and has been told she's no longer welcome in the library because of it. So and that's pretty much it for the library.
Anything else? Councillor Kushniryk.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Blosha.
No, I had no committee meetings, just a special meeting and this is our first regular meeting.
Councillor Burick.
Nothing, no committee reports, but maybe, can you give us an update on a few things? Is GIS, is it the right place for GIS or no?
Sure.
Okay, can you give us an update on that?
So, let's start with GIS. There's a GIS meeting for heads of council on Friday at 1 p.m. So heads of council and CAOs will be attending at the town of Swan River, along with representatives from the RCMP that will provide us details on what the plan is for GIS.
This is this Friday?
This is this Friday.
But for heads
Yeah,
of-
yeah.
Yeah. So we won't know necessarily a lot until then. We've been waiting. Moving away from that, at 10 a.m. on Thursday, Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation is hosting a 1-hour meeting with us about Ditch Road.
Oh, is that with who?
With
Heads of council? Heads of, or council?
This council.
This council?
So anyone that wishes to attend can attend. It'll be a Zoom meeting, so I'll have a laptop set up here. So it's 10 a.m. on Thursday.
This the coming
This
Thursday?
Thursday. So that will be, they're basically going to be going over the findings of the study they did. And I don't know how dry or boring it will be, but we shall find out. But that's available for anyone that wishes to attend, is welcome to come to it. Looking back, getting to the library stuff a little bit, on Monday morning I attended employee performance review for about 2 hours at the library. So we were evaluating the head librarian to see how they're doing. That work is wrapping up and then we'll go to the board for review, but certainly lots of people had nice things to say during the review, so they've done well and the library is seeing some progression. Sticking with the library, there was an issue with the checkout computer at the front desk in Swan River, and that kind of necessitated installing a new one. However, I don't know if you've ever tried this, but you take the new computer, you sit it beside the old one, and you explain what's about to happen to the old one, and it started working quite nicely. So we haven't actually put the new one in there yet. We fixed the old one. So the thought is the new one might actually go to one of the other desks now, rather than using it for the checkout computer. So we left the new one sitting there for a few more days just to see.
He's jealous.
Yeah. With that, we learned a lot of stuff about how the library, why some things haven't been working there very well. So that's being resolved. I also found out just this week, Monday actually, that the public access computers haven't worked for months either. So one of those was fixed later Monday. So there was actually people able to use a computer at the library again in Swan River. Benito's have been working the whole time, but Swan River hasn't. And a lot of that issue boils down to, I'll say it nicely, like it's a library. Just let people use a computer. But they had so much stuff on there to prevent people from using a computer, so you had to ask permission and pay 50 cents, and then they put a password in that only allowed you 30 minutes. And when your 30 minutes ran out, whatever you were doing was gone, because they got rid of you because you'd run out of time. And so all of that was removed, and there's actually a computer you can go to the library now, sit down on and use. And if it takes you 32 minutes, it's okay. So we're working through that, because some of the library are not as happy as they might be at the idea they can't charge 50 cents. But I don't think it'll break us to not charge the 50 cents. So we'll get the rest of the public access computers working there as well, and get the rest of the new computers put in. This is a bit of a work in progress, but we're working through that. Sticking with the library topic, unfortunately the library had a issue late last week. We had one of our staff members, while on duty, had an accident. So certainly they have not been at work and won't be for some time. They have fairly serious injuries. So the thoughts of not only the library board but the municipality is with the employee. They were out doing their job and moving between libraries. They just finished work at the one library and were moving to the other one when the accident occurred. So certainly not something we had ever thought would be an issue. It was quite hard on the library staff, as you can imagine. We've had to do some rescheduling. Because of that, the library's been closed a few hours. It would normally be open as well due to the staffing issues, but we're sorting our way through that. We'll hit up the other list here for what we've done recently. On Saturday, I attended the Benito water plant for the planned power outage, just to babysit it to make sure we went to backup. We did. I did not have to do anything. It all worked as it should. So we should be good for any thunderstorms this year to not have boil water orders as a result. Friday night, I got to go clean floats about 11 o'clock at night in Benito. So the staff and I have made a new date for a float cleaning party when they will learn how to clean the floats, so that I will not be cleaning them again. But that was taken care of. On Wednesday, we had some gravel contract discussion here. Lots of that's going in camera. I will say in the public meeting that we have made clear to contractors in the Municipality of Swan Valley West that it is absolutely unacceptable to provide gifts of any sort to any elected member of our council. We have made it equally clear that it's unacceptable to provide gifts to our staff on a basis of, here's something for you that's somehow different than the rest of the staff. We have further said that if they wish for some reason to give things to people here, it will be done at an event like the Christmas party, where a batch of stuff comes and is distributed to everybody in a way that doesn't make it look like it's some sort of payback for anything. We can discuss the specifics of what happened in camera. I feel the issue has probably been mostly resolved, but there certainly was some misunderstanding of what is and isn't appropriate for people when they deal with the municipality. I can report the gravel contracts have both been signed, obviously, by the fact that they are hauling gravel. As council knows, that was a bit of a long process. We did upgrade those contracts. It's now a 4-page contract, which got us into some of those conversations. We're now requiring those gravel contractors to tell us about anyone that works for them doing that contract, any other companies they subcontract with, and who the employees are at those companies. Not to tell them who they can and can't have employed, but to ensure they're not employing our staff as moonlighting, just to see what's going on and try to understand the dynamics of what's happened there. Back into last week, I did some work with Public Works, so we have another date planned, Derek and I, to go and look at that road by the airport and look at it for a little while. I've also been doing some planning stuff here, and I was out to welcome a dentist as part of my role in medical recruitment. Dentists are doctors, so we have a new dentist in town that moved here. Both husband and wife and child have moved to Swan River and are residing here now. So we welcomed them to the community. We provided them a Swan Valley hoodie. We gave them some postcards, some coupons to go and take a tour of the community and really get integrated here. So hopefully they like it and wish to stay.
Yeah. Are they moving in with another dentist or they're starting their own practice?
They moved to the Aspire Clinic, so they're working there.
Okay.
But they had been bringing a dentist in some days, but this one's actually here.
Here now. Okay.
So that'll help. There were some union matters. Went back and forth with the union quite a bit. That is also mostly in camera, but we always appreciate the time we spend with our union representatives. Can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be than discussing the finer points of the contract. And I am considering having a poster made for the office here that references the quote from the union, which said, if you're going to insist on looking at what the contract actually says, it will be difficult for us to get along well. I think it would fit really nice right over there.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder that we do have a contract. We did have some special meetings. Those are touched on by other folks, and we've worked with budget stuff. We did, going back here a long ways to the last meeting, there was a library meeting that Councillor McGregor spoke on. We did an HR interview in there, some budget prep. We had some more gravel meetings. There was Bonita Water. I was there for a couple days when an employee was away. I did also go and check the lagoon in there just to see. And that brings us back to where we were. Councillor Burick.
I think I asked that last meeting too, where are we sitting with the Brown Bridge assessment and stuff like that? And
The answer unfortunately has not changed since last meeting.
so what are we doing?
We're waiting to go to tender on the repairs.
So seeing that it's already May, probably think it'd be a winter's project?
Very likely.
Probably. Okay,
Unless it's really, really dry this year.
no,
But I think it'll
well, no,
be a
like, I
winter
mean,
project.
you get most people that are tendering will probably have their season booked already. Like
And the
that,
work
so-
is tougher to do in the summer, right? It kind of needs to be done in the winter.
Okay, that, how about assessment on Ford Crossing? We talked about that, but.
So I have not personally been back there yet to see how it fared. I understand people are traveling across it. I'd say a little prayer before they go across, but it did not fail completely this spring. I did look at it during the flooding to see how it was doing, and there wasn't much movement. Most of the rocks that were big enough to stay stayed. I also visited the other Ford Crossing, which has failed. Took a look at that. That is still a substantial problem that we have to deal with.
So with this Ford Crossing here, what are we doing? We're just prolonging it for another year then? Because didn't you say something had to be done almost with the undermining and all that?
So the decision of council is not to spend money fixing the undermining,
Right.
but instead proceed on with
Bridge.
work on a bridge.
Yeah.
So we've been speaking to an engineer on that a little bit, feeling out exactly what work we have to have done before we can apply for granting. We haven't yet received a quote on doing the assessment of the ground. That would be the next step. They did indicate that doesn't have to be done before a grant request can go in. So we're also watching as those grant programs come out for infrastructure. We'll be preparing an application for that bridge.
Okay, okay. One last thing, we had a transportation meeting and there was just a few of us here, you, I, Derek, and.
It wasn't really a transportation
No.
meeting, it was a Ward 6 meeting with.
It was a Ward 6 transportation.
Yeah,
We thought it was
wasn't classed as a transport.
Yeah, it was a Ward 6
invited.
meeting.
We just thought, and the reason we did that, I think everybody kind of knows the theory, Ward 6 sometimes can take up an hour or two on its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So rather than having everybody sit here and
It was
something.
a 2-hour Ward 6 meeting.
We just had a more intimate setting of
Yeah.
listening to all the complaining about Ward 6.
Yeah, so anyway, I've had more complaints again about the crowns in our road and the shoulders, and not just 5, but in the 6, but Ward 5 as well. Has he picked a road yet, or he said he was gonna pick a road to work on, do you know?
I have not asked him since we had that meeting, but the outcome of the meeting was he was going to pick some road up there and we were gonna cut the crown down, fill in the secondary ditches, and cross our fingers that we could do that to more and more of it this summer.
Good, okay. I know he's busy, they're busy doing washouts and stuff like that, but, yeah, so it'd be nice to start, yeah, so, yeah, no, that's good, I think that's about it.
Anything else from anybody? All right. We will go in camera, but before we do that, we'll take about a 10-minute recess so everybody has a chance to stretch their legs. When we return, we'll be going in camera tonight. We are discussing some HR matters that relate to the union thing, some hiring discussion. That discussion about contractors will be an interesting one for council. But we're hoping to keep it to some sort of a reasonable time tonight. We'll see how that goes. We will be in recess until then.
Should we get to 11?
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, we'll see you.
Move to 14.1, be it resolved pursuant to section 1523, the Municipal Act Council shall meet as a committee of the whole, close the meeting, and continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters, negotiations, and preliminary discussions. Mr. Mover. Councillor Zbirun. I saw Councillor Kushniryk. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Coming over in camera session, we can advise we update council on some things and give some direction to staff. Going to 14.4, resolutions arising from in-camera discussions. Was there anything that anybody want to bring forward? Number 15, notice of motion. Is there any notice of motion to present tonight to council? Going to number 16, be it resolved, this meeting shall now adjourn at 9:14 p.m.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Be it further resolved, the next meeting is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, and someone to second it. Councillor McGregor, I can't believe you get to second an adjournment. You better write this day down. It won't likely happen again. Any discussion? Call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you everyone for a good meeting.